Welcome to the Tampa Native Show. Stay tuned now for the most entertaining 60 minutes from the studios at TBCN, Tampa Bay Community Network. Join your hosts Mario Nunez and Steve Piniella as they celebrate growing up in Tampa. From Shakey's to Shock Armstrong, Braddock Street and Buffalo Avenue, get ready to call in and tell us your stories, because sharing those memories has never been this much fun. The Tampa Native Show is brought to you by the Columbia Restaurant. And now, here's your hosts, Mario Nunez and Steve Piniella.
Did you recognize all those pictures? Those are goody goody. You got it in there somewhere.
There he is.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the Tampa Native Show, week number 8. And boy, have we got a show in store for you tonight. Once again, my name is Mario Nunez, and I'm sitting alongside my co-host,
Steve Piniella.
And we're tickled to have you back with us again. Steve, week number 8.
It's unbelievable. I just can't believe this, Mark. It's going so fast.
It's going so fast. And I'll tell you what else is going fast is your hair. What happened to your hair, good man?
It's actually, it went fast today. It went from my head to the floor.
Stood a little too close to the barber chair or something like that.
Yeah.
But listen, we are just tickled because this show tonight is going to be something special. And for those of you that have been watching us each and every week, welcome back. For those of you that are tuning in tonight for the first time, well, what took you so long? We've been here 8 weeks. And listen, and those of you that are out there watching on the internet, we need to hear from you because we know that you're out there, and we love to hear from those viewers, especially those viewers that are out of state. Real quick, we want to say hello to a couple of new viewers that are out there watching, Nick, Jeremy, and Felix. Thanks for tuning in, young men. We appreciate that. And thanks to all of those who sent in your photos, because without your photos, why, the show wouldn't be the same. Now, last week's topic, if you remember, you were with us, we were talking about Friday Night Lights Tampa style. Those football games, those Friday night football games back when the 1950s and 60s and 70s, a little bit different from today's environment when Tampa only had 5, 6, 7 high schools. We got some emails from those viewers. We'd like to share some of those with you now. Our special guests are sitting just off camera, standing by patiently. So you wait there while we get through with these emails. We'll bring them on in just a second. Steve, why don't you take the first one?
Absolutely. Well, the first email was from Rick Parnell, and he's one of our loyal watchers.
And
viewers.
Rick watches from where, Steve?
Oh, he watches from Colombia. No, Brazil.
Brazil.
Right.
That's pretty impressive.
That's amazing. And thanks so much, Rick. And he writes, here are a couple from Riverside Little League from 66 to 68. We would finish our game, and if the next one wasn't good, we would cruise across Woodlawn Cemetery and climb the wall onto Plymouth Street and catch South Tampa Pony and Colt games at Doc Nance Field. Fantastic memories of Jerome Sierra, who would umpire the games and write the story and tell us, as well as take action for the photos for the Tampa Tribune, a true legendary Tampan. Thanks, Rick. Rick, thanks so much for your email.
Rick's email comes to us from Brazil, talking about this week's show, which is Little League Baseball. We've got this one from Big Mike. It says, Steve and Mario, this is your big buddy, Big Mike Pedrinan from Orlando. Couldn't pick up the show last week. Sorry to hear that, Mike. Last Wednesday. Don't know if it was operator error or if it was just the streaming problem. Had a lot of fun with the Columbia Restaurant show 2 weeks ago with Mr. Gunsmart, and you guys were great as always. Your show is mine and my family's favorite. I'm sure many others like to watch your show. Thanks for the tremendous memories. Everything in Tampa like nowhere else. Everything Tampa like nowhere else has to offer. Tradition. Thanks for keeping those stories alive. Great to hear from you, Big Mike Pedrina, and he signs it your Orlando correspondent.
That's great. Thanks, Mike. Here's another email from one of our loyal viewers, and this is from Gary Ippolito, Robinson High School, state champs, 1971. Gary writes, a sidebar to Pete Alfieri. He played baseball for my dad in Little League. Great athlete. He pitched his team to a championship. They had to travel to another district, and some of the parents got lost and showed up late. Guess what little kid was plugged into right field to play until the rest of the team got there? And Mario is modest to say it, but his brother Chick was the star quarterback at Plant.
All right, that's my brother Chick.
Gary, thank you so much. Awesome email.
This one comes to us from Walt and Betty Allen, and we know they're out there watching because they watch each and every week with their niece, Karen. She says, my husband and I enjoy your program along with our niece, Karen Biggs. We both grew up in Seminole Heights. My husband, Walt Allen, lived on East Osborne, and I, Betty Grantham, lived on East Chelsea. We both attended Edison Elementary School, Memorial Junior High, and Hillsborough High when Vivian Gaither was principal. Some of our hangouts were Failer's Drive-In Restaurant, Seminole Theater, Northtown Theater. Someone mentioned last week Manny DeCastro, the truant officer. Walt and his friends knew him well. He always knew when the kids were not in school. She goes on to say the State Theater on North Franklin Street opened at 11 a.m., so that was a good place to start looking for the kids. Also, the trestle over the Hillsborough River and Sulphur Springs, to name a few. Betty's aunt, Vera Jessica, was cashier at the State Theater, so she and all her friends got in for free. Back then, we could go anywhere in the city, day or night, and everywhere was safe. Stay out until dark and then walk home. Not many of us had cars while we were in high school, and the Palace Theater used to be the Victory Theater, and they had vaudeville shows, she goes on to say. And who remembers the open-air bowling alley on North Florida Avenue? I bet our two guests do. Some changes are not always good, and they are as they are. Good luck with your program. It's great hearing about the old days. That's Walt and Betty Allen. Thank you so much, guys, for that email.
And here's an email from Mark Garcia. Mark writes, Mario and Steve, thank you both so much for sharing all the great Tampa memories and photos on your program. Here's a photo I thought you might enjoy of downtown Tampa. Notice how the interstate stops at MLK. My lucky number is 25. All my best, Mark Garcia.
And we'll show that photograph of Mark's in a future program. This one comes to us from Joe Abini. And Joe writes, Mario, ask Lou if he remembered purchasing a poodle from the Abini family for his fiancée at the time. We'll get to that in just a minute, Joe. Also, see if Lou remembers when Valenti and Farrington died when returning from a baseball tournament in Ocala. I believe it was July 30th, 1966, and it was an automobile accident, Joe says. I had just finished the 1966 Legion baseball season and was recruited to play on that team. I do not remember what type of tournament. I thought it was for Parks and Recreation, but I could be wrong. Mac Farrington was one of my best friend's uncles. I'm sorry, let me read that again. Mac Farrington was my best friend's uncle, Ken DeArmond, and it was devastating to all of us. That comes, he says, respectfully submitted, Joseph Abin, and Joe's one of our favorite viewers. Stevie, what you got? You got anything left?
I sure do. This is from our watcher, listener, and viewer, Rose Durand. Rose writes, I remember my dad taking me to West Tampa to watch the games while my mom was in school for her citizenship studies in 1969. It was great. Hot dogs, lots of people, and I can always find someone to play catch with, even though I was a girl, and I was good at softball. It was safe. We could run around while my dad smoked his cigars with other dads and talked about the players. I might not be able to call in tonight, but wanted to share this with you. Thanks, Rose Durand.
Rose Durand. Thank you, Rose. And lastly, let me read this one. This is also mentioning one of our guests tonight. Hey, guys, this is Angelo Ramori, and my wife, Mercedes Gallo, was at St. Joseph's Catholic School with Lou. We can't remember the year this picture was taken, but Lou is at the top of the picture, second from left, and my wife, Mercedes, is at the bottom row, third from the left. Remember that, Lou? She also has an autograph book that's signed with one of those roses are red, etc. poems. But we can't find that at the moment. And that comes again from Angelo Ramori.
And we'll get Jeff to maybe bring up that photo now of the St. Joseph School photo.
If you have that photo, Jeff, queued up and ready, bring that up at this. No, it's
St. Joseph.
St. Joseph's School. If you have that one, while you're looking for that one, we'll take a moment and tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we've been working on this all season, and we kind of feel like we've really connected now, and we're hitting on all cylinders. Yeah, it's one of the photographs you should have there, Jeffrey. If not, no worries. We're going to go right on to introducing our guests. Ladies and gentlemen, the two gentlemen sitting to my right, Jeff, if you want to go ahead and pull up the four shot, we'll introduce them now. On the far right there in the yellow shirt, that's none other than Buck Delatorre. Sitting to his left, immediately to my right, is Mr. Lou Piniella. Gentlemen, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
You want two old fogies from Tampa, you got it.
We wanted to, and we got
You
two.
got
We
'em.
got two good ones, too.
Well, the
How y'all
oldest
doing
ones
tonight?
you've probably had.
Good.
Thank you so
Doing
much.
good. A lot of pleasant memories of our growing up days here in
Definitely.
West Tampa and Bucky from
Ybor City.
Ybor City. So you'll get a little different perspective.
And it's going to be very, very nice.
Definitely.
This show, Lou, if you haven't seen the show, we'd just like to kind of catch you up to speed on what we've been doing for the last 8 weeks here. We take phone calls from our viewers. We're going to throw the numbers up there in just a few minutes. Typically, what we do every week is we pick a topic. And the topic has been anything from former diners and lunch counters and restaurants to what high schools you went to back in the day to last week's topic, which was Friday night football back in our day. Also, we've had one live guest in studio, and that was Richard Gunsmart. So this week we decided, who better to represent Little League Baseball in Tampa than Lou Piniella and his good friend Buck Delatorre.
Well, when we grew up in Tampa, everybody played baseball.
Definitely.
And you played baseball year-round. I remember getting up in the morning right there in West Tampa where I grew up and playing baseball all day, and my mom would chase me home with a broom to eat dinner. I guess you had the same experiences.
Definitely. I mean, I grew up at Cascaded Park, and I lived there practically. I mean, there was 2 diamonds, and there was a baseball diamond on one side and a softball diamond on the other side. I used to watch my father play at the Intersocial League, which is really the basic standard as far as just for us growing up and watching our fathers. Of course, we didn't have like television at that time to be watching baseball games and everything, but we enjoyed just watching the players play, and we learned from our players. And of course, playing at Cascadian Park there with my coach, which was Andrew Espolita, and he was our coach as far as having the games. We used to have little games right there in the middle of the field, and it was terrific. He was a very good coach.
Well, my dad pitched for the Loyal Knights, and both my uncles on my mother's side played for the Centro Español.
Nice.
So what I enjoyed the most were the snow cones. I was a bat boy on the team.
Sure.
And also the arguments. Boy, I mean, those Latin players could, I think that's where I learned a little bit about that, but there were a lot of arguments during those games.
Legendary arguing tactics learned by Lou Piniella watching the adults at Cascadian Park in Ybor City. Well, those were incredible times, and back then, really, there was no organized Little League. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. That came in the middle 50s. By that time, you guys were, closing in on your teenage years. So when you started playing at 8, 9, 10 years old, where did you play?
Well, I used to play at the playground. I used to play at West Tampa Heights. I used to play at Ray Park. Ray Park was right in the center of West Tampa, right there on Howard Avenue.
Sure.
Yeah. And boy, when I got lucky and had an extra dime or so forth, I could go buy a donut over to Leslie Bakery.
Right down the
street. Yeah. So what great memories I have of West Tampa growing up. I grew up on St. Conrad, which was between Albany and Howard. Yeah.
In the heart of West Tampa.
Right in the heart of West Tampa. Yeah, I remember many times I'd had to go over to the Blind Pig Bar to get my dad's grandfather so he'd come home to eat dinner.
Sure.
I'll tell you, the Cuesta Rey Cigar Factory, how about the trolley that used to run right down the center of Salsinas? Remember Salsinas? The store he had over there. We used to get all our clothes, the 4th of July Cafe, Guida. On and on and on. The library, the theater. Yeah, what a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up.
Yeah.
When you left here, Lou, to pursue your professiontional career, you took some of that with you, I'm sure. I mean, you couldn't
never left.
Yeah, of course. I was thinking the same thing, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit now, but talking a little bit about Tony La Russa and the 91 or 90 series.
Yeah, that was in Cincinnati and Oakland, but. Tony grew up there, right there at McFarland Park. I guess he was born in Ybor City.
Wait a minute, he started off in Ybor City.
Did he? Then he moved west.
Then he moved to West
He
Tampa.
He got smart.
But he moved on to MacDill.
Yes, right on
there. He
MacDill.
lived right across the street from McFarland Park.
Remember the old golf course right there?
It used to be a golf course right
McFarland
there.
Park, and then old McFarland Hill.
That's right.
It looked so high.
Oh my, yeah, it did.
McFarland Hill looked so high, and when we went to play in California for the Coat League World Series.
You saw some real hills out there.
We saw some real hills.
We've got a good story to talk about that.
Time, yeah.
We got a good story to touch on that in just a few minutes. Before we go and open up the phone lines, we always do this real quick, and I think we want to do this again this week to keep in pattern with the show. Steve and I tell our favorite recollection from Little League, and I always let my partner go first. Stevie, let it rip.
Well, like Lou mentioned earlier, it's all
we got that picture from Wellswood.
Oh, we do have that?
We're going to show that picture from
Wellswood Little League.
Wellswood Little League
Wellswood
picture.
Little League.
If you've got that picture, put that picture up there for us.
There it is.
There it is. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about Wellswood Little League.
Well, as Lou mentioned earlier, playing baseball is what we did in Tampa. That was our foundation of our memories, and some of my most cherished memories of Tampa are playing baseball. And I played at Little League, which was right behind Mendenhall Elementary. And I remember my coach's name. My manager was Jim Dillinger. The coach was Angelo Perez, who I actually saw recently at my favorite Café con Leche restaurant. And and just we had a good talk about baseball. But I have to give credit to my friend growing up, Chris Frame. He's the one that talked me into playing baseball. Now, what we did before I joined Wellswood, and as most kids do, I'm sure Lou and Buck did the same thing, and I know you did too, Mario, but we played stickball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had
a lot of stickball.
Well, corkball.
Corkball.
So,
Corkball.
and we did that all day long. And I mean, if you can hit a ball that big, thrown fast as it can be thrown,
sure,
and hit it with a broomstick, which is very narrow also, you're ready for
ready
for organized baseball, you know. So, but it was just a great time of my life. I still remember all the sights, the sounds, and also I remember my parents and my grandparents, you know, rooting for me in the field, supporting, yelling,
everybody there,
clapping, and it was just fun, very fond memories. Just great. Go ahead, Mario.
No, I was going to say, Stevie, my situation, you know, we talked about this today when we were prepping for the show. I didn't have much of a choice when it came to playing baseball. I have 2 older brothers that are 7 and 9 years older than myself. So I literally cut my teeth at the ballpark. My mother was working at the concession stand. My father was coaching. So I mean, I'm a 3-4-year-old kid running around chasing. And by the time I was 6, 7, 8, I couldn't wait to start playing because by that time it was expected. So anyway, my most cherished memories, real quick. When I was 12. I'll give you 3, 2, 1. Top 3. 3 was when I was 12. In one particular game, we took advantage of this one particular pitcher, left-handed pitcher, a buddy of mine, Doug McCullough. Sorry, Dougie, if you're out there watching. But we beat him. We beat him into submission. And on this particular day, I hit 2 home runs. And I wasn't a big kid. I'm not a big man now. But I hit 2 home runs. And in my last at-bat of the day, I almost hit a 3rd one. Had it not been for the left fielder reaching over the fence and robbing me. That's one memory. Another fabulous memory I had when I was 11 years old again, playing in the majors. I had a pretty good year. I was a pretty spirited little feisty player, and I was fiercely competitive. Lou would have appreciated me as a little leaguer, I'm sure. I'm at the All-Star banquet with my parents, and all the other teams are there. They're calling up the All-Stars on the stage, one at a time, team by team, and they finally get around to the Gators, which was the team that I played on, and they called out Doug Fowler, 12-year-old Doug Fowler, and he goes up there on the stage, and we're all clapping. And then Mike Ware, 12-year-old Mike Ware, and Mike Ware goes up there. And then they said, an 11-year-old Mario Nunez. And I sat there. I remember to this day, it's at the Sheraton restaurant, Sheraton upstairs at the, and I'm looking at, my mouth is slack jawed. I turn around and look at my parents sitting behind me, and they're just laughing because my coach had called them a week before to tell them he made the team, but just don't tell him. And I brought that little trophy in today because of all the trophies that I received over all the playing years, this one here in particular is the first one that I ever won for my All-Star. Yeah, that's, go ahead and show that, look at that young kid. Lou, you'd have put him in the starting lineup, wouldn't you?
Hitting 3rd in the lineup.
Thank you, Lou. Look at that guy.
You wore glasses.
Well, I wore glasses. What you don't notice there, what you don't see there is...
That's a big glove.
Well, no, not only is it a big glove, Lou, but that glove was brand spanking new. It was a gift to me for making the All-Stars. And if you can remember, Gene Brito and Bill Hernandez downtown, they had Florida Sporting Goods.
Exactly.
And back then, my father knew those 2 guys pretty good. And you can go down there, and, you know, on credit, you can go and put a couple dollars down, and Gene said, go ahead, pay me, Mr. Nunez, when you can later. That was a new glove that I had just received for that tournament. And lastly, let me say this. My top memory as a 12-year-old was throwing a no-hitter when I was 12. And Lou's, show there he is. Lou's got the ball. I had to bring the ball to show Lou today because I knew he'd appreciate that.
Now, if it was this dark when you pitch, I can see why.
You can see why. You can see why.
No.
Incredible.
Well, you know, remember, the lights were not very good at that time, too. You know, at Cascaden Park, that was the first park that ever had first high school played games there.
Absolutely.
And all the games were played there at the very beginning.
Yes.
All the schools, and it's not like now where every school had their own park with
complex,
their own lights and everything. So we had to start playing all of our games were played there at Cascaden Park. And you brought back Manny DeCastro. I don't know if you remember this, but he used to say this little saying all the time. I know your mother, I know your daddy. What's your name, boy? That was his famous saying all the time. And I know the guys back in Ybor City used to remember that all the time. He used to say that all the time.
Well, it's wonderful memory because 2 weeks ago, Fran Costantino called, and she was the one that remembered Manny. Listen, we've got a caller. Can we go to the lines? Have you put those numbers up there, Jeffrey? Put them up there. And by the way, show that last couple of pictures of that young 11-year-old. You have another one after this one, I know for a fact. I gave you. It's me. There he is. Look at that form. Look at that form. My goodness, he's bringing it. Look at him.
Was that your no-hitter?
You got a strike machine.
Look at him right there. Listen, I wasn't overpowering, and that was a big problem because I was always around the plate. So I got hit a little bit, but I had a good little curveball, and like I said, I fiercely hated to lose. And then, of course, here comes that was the article in the newspaper.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
You know,
That's the old Tampa Times.
that's the old Tampa Times, Lou.
How about that?
The old Tampa Times. And they used to cover, if you look on the right side there, you see all that. That's all the Little League action of the day. So they had enough correspondence at the day to go out in the community and actually give the kids who got hits or home runs or pitched well, or they got their name in the paper.
Sure,
That's where
that
saying.
yeah.
Sure, that's where that saying came from, I believe. Get your name in the paper. Here we go.
There you go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, without ado, we've got callers waiting to talk to Lou and Bucky. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Sean. I'm calling from from South Tampa.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
I'm doing great. Mr. Piniella, it's great to see you. I've been looking forward to this episode for a very long time.
There you go.
I know you guys were talking about baseball memories. I did play when I was little at Piniella Little League. I wasn't very good, and I think we only won one game the whole time I was there. But it didn't distray me from the love of baseball. I love the game of baseball. I can appreciate it. I'm 35, so I grew up in a good time where I got to see a lot of great athletes, and I remember a lot of the older athletes as well. And I also wanted to say real quick, in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month this month, next Friday I'm doing a presentation for my 5th graders at school, and it's going to focus on Tampa's Latin history. And as part of the series, we have athletes from Tampa, and you're going to be featured in it as well. And I'm honored that you're from Tampa, and it's really good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for calling, Sean.
Thanks, Sean. You've called before. We really appreciate you watching, and we'll get together here for a cafe con leche pretty soon and talk about what we might be able to do in the future. Thanks so much, Sean.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
You too,
Thank
Sean.
you so
Thanks
much.
for
Well,
calling.
Palmacia seemed so far away when you grew up.
Oh my! Temple Terrace was the
Temple
day
Terrace
and a half
was,
trip.
yeah.
That was-
Well, like the other day, I told my mom I was going to Brandon. She says, "Don't go to Brandon now. She's 91 years old." She says, "Don't, it's too far." And Brandon's right down the street. Yeah.
We talked about that
amazing.
last week. When we grew up, you lost the city lights on 60 Adamo Drive going towards Brandon, and it was 25 minutes, a long
That's it.
25 minutes.
That's
now
it.
you don't know where Tampa ends and Brandon
Exactly.
begins.
And Tampa's grown so much, but there's still that nucleus of Tampa natives that we're a cohesive group. But it's really grown, but we're still a small town in some
Very
respects.
small town.
in a
And
lot
it's
of
good.
respects.
It's good.
Here's evidence of that right here.
Yeah.
I get
exactly.
people always saying, "Are you from Tampa?" I said, "Yeah, I was born and raised." They think that everybody's from out of town.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And
You know,
that's
they
what our
don't
show's
believe it.
about.
I'm
Bud.
from Tampa. I lived here all my life. My mother and father lived here, and people, "Are you from Tampa?" Yeah, not everybody comes from New York.
There's a lot of us around still. Yeah.
Let's see who's on line 4. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is David calling from Davis Island, and I have kind of a Tampa baseball story that happened in Seattle. But first, my mother grew up in West Tampa with Lou's mom and Magadam's mom. So, and I used to hear growing up, I used to hear a lot of stories about Lou growing up and his mom calling from the front door to the ballpark across the street. It was time to come in.
Yeah.
But, I have a brother that lives in Seattle, that's lived in Seattle for years and years, and they were up visiting him years ago when Tino first came up with the Mariners.
Yeah. I was Tino's
They
manager
were in
over
a-
there in Seattle.
Stayed in a hotel, and they just happened to be going up on the elevator with Tino. And my mom says, my dad says, that's Tino Martinez. So my mom taps him on the shoulder, and he says, you're Tinito, aren't you? And he says, you must be from Tampa. So yeah, that's one of my favorite baseball stories. But
That was a dead giveaway. You're from Tampa.
yeah, and so I've written when Lou was here coaching with the Rays.
With the Rays,
Yeah,
yes.
sure.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours, Steve Dugino,
I
would
know
always
Steve.
call my mom after a game and said, "Okay, you can call Margarita." I said, after a win, but if they lost, they said, "Don't call Margarita.
No,
don't
don't
call."
call her.
Don't
Don't
bother tonight.
Yeah, that's my
Did
mom.
you say
yes.
David or Davian?
Davian.
Davian. Okay, Davian Benito?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Davian.
That's
Davian's
right.
another one of our loyal viewers and frequent callers. And so was Sean. Davian, thanks so much for calling back. Oh, yeah, anytime, okay?
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Jeffrey, when you go back to the photos, just roll them as they come across, every so often. Yeah, change the photos and we'll address them. Now, this one we have to address this picture.
This is
Callers,
great.
we see you on the line. Please stay right there. We're going to come right back to you. But Buck, talk to us a little bit about this picture.
This picture was taken right after we won here locally in Tampa. As you can see in the very top background, it's Al Lopez Field. And on On the far left, that's Bobby Jordan, Sergio Vega. I'm on top there of the car. I think that's Dickie Whiteside.
Dickie was a good pitcher, had a good curveball.
And then Ken Hagan and Max Farrington holding the trophy. That was taken right after the ball game. We had won the tournament right here, and after we came from, actually, we thought we had a better team for 248 than we thought we'd had for the Colt
League team?
For the Colt League. What happened there was that we lost in Sarasota, the 248. Ken Squires was one of our players.
Sure.
And he went on to play Major League Baseball as well, too. And all of a sudden, we said, well, let's go back home. We figured they had lost the game, but Sergio had beaten the Miami team. And hey, we're still in it. So there was Lou, Tony La Russa, Paul Ferlita, myself were still eligible to play on that game. So we came back and we won. And then we got to go to Jacksonville and then all the way to Colt League World Series, which was Ontario, California.
Save that Ontario story. We're going to get to that.
Well, you know, it's amazing on that post-248 team that we had.
Yeah.
We had 4 guys that played professional baseball for that team at that time. That
exactly.
was pretty impressive. And 3 of the guys got to the big leagues. So, we had really good hitting teams, and we argued a lot, and we played hard, and we had a lot of fun. Lingo Rodriguez was our coach.
Wow.
West Tampa guy. We had Sam Castellano.
Wow.
Had the fish market over here
Sure,
on Albany,
absolutely,
remember?
absolutely.
Yeah, he was there also. What pleasant. We used to play a lot of our games at McFarland Park and over at Cascaden Park. Yeah, so the problem was when we get into these tournaments, we didn't have the depth pitching that some of these other teams had.
Yeah.
And when you play, it's not.
You run out of arms.
You run out of arms. That's exactly right.
Bobby Jordan, I always used to call him when we came back after the tournament. We lost in the Colt League World Series, and we used to call him One Pitch Jordan after that because he threw one pitch and the guy hit a grand slam.
Oh, wow.
So that was like one pitch. We used to name him One Pitch
What
Jordan.
a moniker.
Yeah.
What a moniker to get stuck with. You know, when you showed me that picture originally, Buck, and we talked about it, I mentioned this to you. I said, you know, the picture itself, the time period, circa 60, 61?
It's about 61.
61. I'm looking at that. You know, I get misty-eyed just looking at Al Lopez Field in the background, but I got to tell you something. That car is pretty bitchin' right there, too. That is a cool
looks like a Bel
car.
Air.
It looks like a
Bel Air.
57 Chevrolet.
Isn't that cool?
I think this was before 61, Buck.
No, I think it's 61, right in there, because that was about the time we graduated, right? 1960.
So you're about 15, you're about 16 or 17 maybe?
We're about 17, 18,
Okay.
right in there, just about the tail.
The guy on the far right, you said that was Mac Farrington.
Mac Farrington.
He's pretty developed. Like he's already
He was
older.
a
He's not
great
13
player.
or 14. He's older.
He played football.
He looked like a football player
He was
there.
a good, strong player.
You know, talking about Al Lopez Field and Manny DeCastro, I used to
Here we go.
to the ball games over there, and I didn't have the money to go into the ball game.
Nobody had any money.
So we had to go out behind the fence in left field or center field. And then at that time, Cincinnati had some great hitters like Frank Robinson and Wally Post and big Ted Klazuski.
Oh, wow, the big old big dude.
And they'd hit these balls, and, you know, Manny would chase us out of there. And he'd tell us, if you don't give the baseball back, we're going to put you in jail. and finally, we'd get a ball or two that we keep, and we go up front, and we sell the ball for the quarter or half a dollar, and that's how we used to get into the ball game.
Great story, Lou.
And that's a great story, and it's true. And the only problem is that a lot of times I was playing a little hooky. Which wasn't the right thing to do. But, like, you know, what are you going to do growing up and you never get a chance to see a Ted Williams play or some of these great players.
Absolutely.
Mickey Mantle, the Yankees used to be right there in St. Petersburg. And when some of these great players came through, the kids would miss school and go see them. And Manny did his part.
Yeah.
And you know, Lou, one of my fondest Al Lopez Field memories, too, is seeing Roberto Clemente.
Yes.
I was probably 30 feet away from him.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of memories of going there.
Sure.
But I still had the vision in my mind of his shirt, you know, with his jersey with the name on the back, and standing on deck. It was just a phenomenal memory that I'll never forget.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
And you know, you'd see a lot of your friends at these ball games.
What a venue, too. Al Lopez was great to watch a game.
Wonderful place to watch a ball game, yeah.
Let's see who's on line 5. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is Wes. I'm up in Tallahassee.
Oh.
Wes in Tallahassee. How are you, Wes? Are you watching us online?
No, man, I wish I could. Who is this? Who am I speaking with?
This is Mario. Steve's next to me. You got Luke.
Mario, how you doing? Steve, man, it took me 15 minutes to get in. You guys been busy tonight.
Wow. Wes
Well,
Singletary,
and
by the way.
we figured that we might be. Tell us your favorite fond remembrance of Little League Baseball, Wes.
Nah, growing up in Wellswood, going over with the All-Star team to play at West Tampa, it was incredible. Then the winter, we'd end up playing Belmont Heights. I mean, you know, to be able to fight your way out of District 6 and then get to Belmont Heights,
Right.
I mean, that's Tampa baseball.
Right. At its absolute best.
Yeah, no, there were some teams over at Wellswood. I mean, as a little kid, I can remember some of these guys. There was a team called the VWs. Okay, it was something like a bunch of 12-year-olds. But I'm 50 years old now, and these guys are like legends to me still. The guys that I think about on that team, they were incredible. They had to break them up. They split them out over the course of the league the next year.
Right.
Because the whole All-Star team was made up of the VWs.
Well, we can remember. I can remember also. John Taglarino was a few years ahead of me, and I can remember going to see him big tag at West Tampa, and you know he was so big at the time. You know, like you see now in the Little League World Series, these kids that grow to be 6'1", 6'2", they're 200 pounds, and they're 12 years old. I'm not that big now. I'm 52.
Oh, and then he gets to Tampa Catholic. He's paired with Manny Cioni. I mean, they had an incredible team.
That's exactly correct. What great. Well, see, but Wes, what you got to understand too is that the way was already paved. The trail was already blazed for us by these two guys that are sitting with us here today. I know you can't see the show, and I'm sorry about that. But Lou and Bucky and everybody that came out of their generation had already started with the machete and knocking down the path for us. So by the time we got there,
I was talking to Al Lopez one time, and he was more proud of the fact that Lou Piniella and Tony La Russa were managed against each other in the 1990 World Series than anybody could imagine. I mean, he tells me, "Oh my God, you couldn't imagine two guys from the same neighborhood, but really one from Ybor City, one from West Tampa, against each other in the World Series. They never did that before."
that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes for the deep history that we have in Tampa, and why you know I think we look upon baseball a little bit differently than everybody else, maybe even across the country.
Absolutely, Lou. I got to meet you one time when I was a kid. Raymond Gonzalez was my stepfather, and he took me to your house, and you gave me a baseball autographed by the '75 Yankees right after Bobby Bonds was traded. I'll never forget it.
Oh, how about that? Yeah. A lot of, my mom always kept baseballs in the house.
Sure.
And,
Well, Raymond knew you from somewhere, and he worked at the dog track and told me he knew you, and he had just married my mom, so I said, you know what? Give me his autograph. And hell, he drove me to your house. You lived in something.
That's a great
He came out on the porch, and hey, Raymond, you apparently knew him from West Tampa. You gave him a ball, and I mean, it was great.
why not, right?
You had a little Lacha Opso dog. I can never figure. What's Lou Piniella doing with a Lacha Opso?
Oh, my wife loves Lasso Opsos. We've had Lasso Opsos in our family for,
Ever.
I bet you 20, 25 years.
I knew if I threw the dog out there, you'd take. He must have been to my house.
That's
you
proof.
go.
That's proof.
There you
Proof
go.
positive. Wes, thanks so much for calling. Call back anytime.
Guys, I appreciate it. Y'all take care. Steve, take it easy.
Wes, thank you for the picture, too.
Thank you, Wes.
Yeah, that picture we
That
played.
picture, the West Tampa, the Wellswood picture.
That was sent by
Lenny
Wes Singletary.
Fiedler was in that picture, and the gentleman, there he is.
There it is.
If you get us
There
out
it
of there
is.
real quick, the gentleman on the far left is Lenny's father,
Yeah.
and Lenny's on the right there, the bottom row, the second from the left, and up top is in the middle is Jack Espinosa. I can see Chris
Yes.
Espinosa from here.
Lenny Fiedler threw a no-hitter at Cascaden Park, and I was there bat boy, and at the time he threw his no-hitter. And I can still remember that game that he pitched, and he was just kept on throwing curveballs, and they just could not touch him. I don't know whether he was playing with the Elks Club at that time, because that was the most strongest team. They had the Loyal Knights, the Cuban Club, the Elks Club,
Español, the Italian club.
clubs. They had all those clubs,
was
which basically
serious.
we're
McGill
products.
Air Force Base
We're
had a
products.
team.
Yeah,
McGill Air
we
Force
were
Base
product
had a
of
team.
those guys, watching those guys and playing all those games there. And
We learned from our dads.
The gentleman in the very middle is Charlie, and he used to pitch softball.
In the
Actually,
gentleman in the middle, that's Jack.
Mr.
No, Jack Espinosa on the far right.
Mr.
No,
Hernandez.
I'm talking about the
Oh,
stand.
that's Charlie Hernandez, right?
Charlie Hernandez.
Yeah.
He used
Right,
to
right.
pitch for Tico.
That's right. That's right.
Pitch fast pitch softball.
That's
and
exactly
that's where
right.
I started learning how
His
to play
son was my
softball.
pitching coach when I was with the Tampa Bay Rays.
When we
Really?
started, listen, when we started this show, the mantra has always been week to week. When Tampa, when we were growing up, It was so small. You were either somebody's primo or you knew somebody's
No
primo.
question.
And look at it now. Look at all the connections that we're making right here.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of
Espinoza was a funny guy.
Still is.
Oh, he's
Still
still
is.
is.
We're going to have him on the show. Yeah. Jack, if you're out there, have your agent call us. We'll book you on the show. We can't pay you too much, but we'd love to have you on the show.
And then Faedo, the Faedo family had that wonderful, wonderful dairy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
A block, a block north of Tampa Bay Boulevard, where the St. Joseph Hospital is now, and so forth.
Right
that
there.
used to be all of the Faedo's dairy property. Yeah.
So was Loch Raven also carved out of that in the Jesuit property,
Yes,
Jesuit high school property?
basically, yes. It was all in that same tract of land, yeah. And,
Wow.
they had a wonderful, wonderful dairy
Let's
there.
see who's waiting
Great
on line
photo.
4. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, Mario, Phil Testa.
Hey,
Oh.
Phil Testa, how are you, PJ?
Good, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for watching again.
Oh, you bet. I don't miss your show. It's the best thing on TV.
Oh, thanks, Phil.
There
That's
you
a
go.
wonderful endorsement.
Listen, when I was a kid, I grew up in Sulphur Springs,
Okay.
and in 1960, my parents moved to Egypt Lake Estates. And I used to play corkball in my backyard with a little guy by the name of Steve Garvey.
Oh, wow.
Good hit.
Wow.
And I'm telling you that he went on, of course, to be one of the best ball players in Tampa.
Sure.
Those were great days and great memories. Steve and I grew up together. It was just a good time.
Did you go to Chamberlain then as well, Phil?
Chamberlain High School, yes.
There you go.
Yeah, what in the 1964 undefeated season.
Class of 64. And part of that, I'm assuming, was probably because of Mr. Garvey and his exploits on the baseball diamond. He also played football pretty good, too.
Football and football. He played quarterback for our team in 63. And, of course, then after that, he went on to Michigan State.
Spartans.
And then on to the Dodgers. And after that, it's all history, brother.
No, he had a great career, and he was a legend here in the
Absolutely.
in the Tampa
and
Bay
again,
area.
one of the predecessors that helped, because I was thinking about this the other day, driving, just kind of prepping for the show. Of course, there was Al Lopez in the very earliest days, and then he helped bring attention to Tampa with his managing of the Go-Go Sox in the 50s. And then by the 60s, you started to see guys coming out of the neighborhoods like Lou, like Tony, like Bucky, that were getting noticed. And then a little bit later on in the 70s, John Tamargo and that group, Nardi Contreras and that group. But by the time the 80s got here, the late 70s, but with Wade Boggs and then Lenny.
And Tino Martinez.
Then by that time, the pipeline was flush with
my
talent.
cousin David Magadan.
No,
That's right. It just
the
on
list,
and on and
absolutely.
on and on.
You
yes.
can see it if you chronicle and you look at the history, Lou. You can see where by the 70s and the 80s, the Bird Dogs had become full-time scouts.
No question.
Because they're in now they're not just looking at the sandlots. Now they're in the little leagues. They're actually looking at the talent at 12, 13. So, PJ, anytime you want a call partner, you on the hot list here, VIP.
He's on
You
the,
got it, my friend.
he's on the
Thank
red
you
phone.
very much.
Thank you for watching.
Keep up the good work, guy.
Thank you, PJ.
Thank you.
The,
You know,
pic- the
Good night.
picture you're
Good night.
showing right now.
Yeah, talk
is
about that a little bit, Buck.
That's the picture of all the guys that were around Cascaden Park. You got Tony La Russa on the very bottom on the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bobby Jordan, Albert Baromi, Angelo Ferlita.
How about that?
I
Wow.
can't tell who that's on the right. It's Armando Pena.
Far left, upper left.
John Palmieri.
How about that? Johnny was a good center fielder.
And of course, our coach, that's Espolita. And Danny, I can't remember his last name now. He was a principal at
Boy,
Jefferson.
Espolita taught a lot of players how to play
he
baseball. A lot of-
taught
That
us-
man right there.
Yes,
That man
yes,
was
yes,
our man
yes.
to teach us basic stuff that we.
Yes.
I mean, it was how to bunt,
The fundamentals.
how to fundamentals. It was fundamentals, how to bunt, hit and run, surprise bunts. You don't generally teach that nowadays as far as surprise bunt. But he taught us
at
everything.
that time, Espolita and Ybor City, and the guy that we had in West Tampa, Lingo Rodriguez.
Lingo.
I mean,
They were the guy.
these guys basically could have coached in the big leagues.
Wow.
That's how good they were.
That's amazing.
Lingo, I don't know whether he played in the Tampa Smoker League, because that was a big league too at that time too, or before us as far as playing. But the Tampa Smokers were a lot of people, Bitsy Montz and all these other players that
Absolutely.
had played on that league.
There's your dad.
Yeah, there's my father.
Hey, there's a familiar
Handsome
face, huh?
Yeah,
He
well, I
played at
recognize
Cascaden,
him.
didn't he? He played at Cascaden too, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
That's the
well, my
Intersocial League
father,
there, right?
Right.
What position?
Well, actually, he was a pitcher, and he used to pitch, and then he used to tell me, "Son, don't pitch, because you're going to hurt your arm, then you can't play anymore. Go catch. If you want to play to get to the major leagues, be a catcher. That's the fastest way to get to the major
Yeah,
league.
he gave you pretty good advice.
Yeah, and, you know, and that's there was things he used to tell me. You know, it says when you strike out the first time, it ain't gonna be the first, it ain't gonna be the last time. So
More good advice.
that was one a couple of things. But that picture was taken up against the Cascading Pool.
Oh, sure, sure. Look at the
Central
backdrop.
Studiano, if I remember the logo,
the logo on the
logo on his chest. That was he was Lou Garcia said that he came out of retirement just to beat him as far as getting the most hits.
Yeah.
Because he played with me toward his when I was like in high school, and he came out and played a couple of games with me. And he came out of retirement just to get it.
Lou was a good player.
Lou was a very good player.
Let's see who's on line 5.
Another call.
Caller, you're on the air. Lower your television. Talk to us here on the telephone. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Doreen Inez Hyde.
Oh, hi, Doreen.
Hi.
First time
Mario?
caller? Yeah, first time caller. We haven't heard from you in a little bit. How are you doing?
Well, the last time I saw you was at the Rays game when we saw Hall & Oates.
Hall & Oates, wasn't that a
That's
fun
right.
time?
That was great.
Had a great time. I saw you guys over at Panera Bread when I picked up my shirt.
Yes, yes.
And tonight is the first time that I'm watching you guys, and it's so heartwarming.
Well,
great.
I wanted to let Lou Piniella know that his brother Scooty used to play softball with my son's father, Michael Hyde.
Yes.
There you go.
Michael
pretty good
Hyde
ball player.
Yeah.
lived on Abdella, a couple streets over from you.
Okay.
And my dad and my grandparents lived on Abdella. My grandmother rolled cigars in Ybor City back in the day. And my grandfather was a chicken man. He used to deliver eggs back before I was born in West Tampa. And I am just enjoying your show so much, and so look forward to continuing to contribute to the Tampa Native. And I am just going to ask one favor of everybody.
Here we go.
Okay.
My son, Tyler, is currently a Marine and will be shipping out to Afghanistan in December. His dad, Michael, passed away about 10 years ago. And is a very big part of our life. And Lou, I just wanted to tell you, I think I met you back when I was about 16 years old, and at the park there off of Tampa Bay Boulevard. Mother Goose Nursery belonged to my aunt.
Yes.
Sarah Gonzalez.
How
I'm
about
sure you
that,
remember
Sarah and Julio?
her.
Sure I do.
Yeah, and Julio. Julio's doing good.
Good.
Julio's
Good.
been real good. We lost Sarah,
Sarah,
end of August,
yes,
but
yes.
she's in a better place than we are.
Yes.
And would be so pleased to know that all of us in the neighborhood still think of her and Julio. And you know what, Mario, you and Steve are doing such an awesome thing here for all of us that were born and raised in Tampa. And I thank you for it, and I look forward to continuing to get the information for what the Tampa Natives do and take part in it.
Thank you, Doreen, for being
Thank you.
for being there.
We
for
wish
us.
your son well in Afghanistan and
Absolutely.
let him come
We
back.
sure do.
Yes.
Thank you very much. God bless you guys.
Lots of love to you, Doreen,
Thanks
as
for
well.
calling.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Is it a small world or what?
Yeah, small world.
When we talked yesterday at lunch when we met, and I kind of touched on this, but these are merizo. You can't see the goosebumps because
No,
they're
it's
under my
true.
shirt. But this
It's
is the kind of stuff that
It-
happens
it's
every
true.
week.
No,
and
I mean,
we're all connected.
We're also fortunate to grow up in this town. This
We
is
sure
a
are.
wonderful city.
We really are.
yeah, and the
It
show
really
is
is.
captured.
You know, I've had a chance to go all over the country, and I can't wait to
get
get
back
back to
home.
my roots. And really, when it's all said and done, you're just a small town boy from West Tampa.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's really amazing.
stuff.
It's
That's
amazing.
That's good stuff. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Bill Beakley from Tampa.
This is not Bill Beakley from Tampa, Florida.
That is
Billy boy, how are you?
good, Mario. I can't believe that 1974 wasn't in your top.
Well, I digress. I digress, Billy, because you know it was Little League, and that was truly Senior League. But if you'll wait just a moment, as you think with me, Billy, channel with me. 1974 Senior All Stars West Tampa. Look, Billy, look at your TV. Look at your TV now, Billy.
There it is. There it is.
Get us out of here, and we'll show that picture.
Hawk.
Look at that
Frank
picture.
McGraw.
Real quickly from left to right, bottom left. That's Eddie Diaz, Frankie
Albert
Yurchek,
Rodriguez.
Frankie Campisi, the late J.P. Morgan, and yours truly, bottom right, Mario Nunez. Bill Beakley, Craig McGraw, Joey Licata. That's help me, Billy. Who's next to Joey? Arthur Espinosa, Randy Castro.
And Frankie Yurchak.
Look at our coaches. That's George Barcelo on one end.
How about that?
And Manuel Iglesias on the other end.
How about that?
And then the top row is Manny Iglesias, Marcelo Cabot, Mike Ciccarello, and Albert Rodriguez. And that was a great team, Billy. I digress. That actually was the furthest I ever advanced in my playing days. We almost got to the Southern Regionals, and what we talked about earlier, Lou, when running out of arms.
Yeah, you start running out of arms.
And listen, Billy, are you there?
I'm here.
I want you to verify something for me, brother.
Yes, sir.
If that team that year, that team right there that year has one Ricky Alfonso, who was not allowed to play with us because his coach at TC did not allow him to play because he was the starting catcher as a freshman, do we win the World Series?
Absolutely, my friend.
Can you imagine that team right there with Ricky Alfonso?
Yeah, unbelievable. You're absolutely right. With him, he was the missing piece of the puzzle that would have allowed us to go all the way.
He was a wonderful talent at the time. I mean, he was the type of kid that, at 12 years old could do things that, you and I could only think about doing, pitching and running and hitting.
And Mr. Piniella,
yes,
your brother used to cut those long locks that used to stick out.
He's still cutting hair.
Scooty.
He's still cutting hair, yes.
No longer. I see him every now and then at Ricks on the River, but the long blonde locks have since fallen off my head.
Tell me about it.
Cuesta over there at Pop Cuesta used to coach a Tampa recreation team right there at West Tampa Heights.
Yes. I remember Pop. Pop was a good coach, too. I mean,
still at Jefferson. Still at Jefferson.
Still at Jefferson, yeah. Great baseball guy. There's so many people here in Tampa. And you mentioned it, Mario. Oh, the litany of players.
Amazing.
That grew up in this town and made it to the big leagues. And I'm not talking about fringe players. I'm talking about
impact players.
Impact.
Right. And all-stars.
All-star
and
players.
world champions.
And world champions.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
You had a picture there. You had a picture of George
Famous.
Barcelo there.
George, wonderful coach.
Yes.
I want to tell you a story about George Barcelo.
All right, you got the floor.
George Barcelo was a pitcher, basically, and he used to get behind home plate and challenge and to make a bet that he could throw the ball over the left field fence in Cascaden Park. That fence was like 20 feet high, and it was about 310, 315 down the line. But he would get behind, warm up a little bit, and he would throw actually the ball over the fence.
Oh, wow.
Which was a pretty good
That was
throw.
our coach. That was our coach, the Jaw. Like, what, Billy? You still with us?
Yeah.
You didn't want to make him upset with you because you knew if he set that jaw and he gave you that look, A, you were going to run sprints after the game, and B, you might not be starting the next game. It was one of those things. But I never learned more baseball than under those two coaches. And we had Joe Iglesias to thank as well because Manuel's brother was part of it too. Billy, call us anytime, would you?
Great show. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. Great to talk to you.
One more thing. You guys are absolutely right. You're so blessed to grow up here.
Agreed, brother. Thank you so much. Call anytime.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
We have such a unique history here, culture.
What's happening? What's happening?
Guys, we're having so much fun. I'm sorry, but we have 15 minutes left.
The 15-minute girl struck again.
There you go.
Thank you, darling. She's always doing that to us, Lou. Every week at about this time, she comes in and lets us know we got to hurry up.
I'm going to be looking from now on, and we'll be looking forward to seeing her.
And can I throw this out there as well? This 1 hour, I don't believe did this show service proper. Can you guys come back and maybe do another one later? Is it possible? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot now. You think you work it into your schedule. Right. But if you can, we would love to have you back because we still got callers calling. We have Bolita balls to draw. We got pictures of Andy Hardy and some lady. I don't know who that is.
My wife.
That ain't no lady. That's my wife.
Bucky, she's a West Tampa girl.
Yeah, she is. She is. She went to West Tampa Junior High, and she's known Lou just as long as I have, as far as knowing him growing up with him. And that picture was taken at the 1990 World Series when Lou and Tony La Russa were playing in that one. Of course, Lou won 4 straight in a row.
Hello.
Which was.
Well, I didn't. The players did.
Yeah, well, you were managing. What else can I say?
Yeah.
But
Well, we've got a picture there. Let's
Okay.
go to these two callers real quick. We'll come back and talk. We'll let that picture percolate for just a second. We like that face to do. I don't, Buck, what'd you do with your...
There's some intensity there.
What did he do with his mask, Lou? He's got a man coming, a big-sized fella coming in there.
That was playing with the Clearwater
Bombers.
at Jack Russell Stadium in Clearwater.
Caller, stand by.
I think I had him blocked off from scoring on there.
Yeah, I don't think he was going anywhere.
He wasn't going anywhere with that.
Caller, you're on the air with Lou Piniella and Bucky Della Torre. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Nancy. I grew up in Ybor City.
Hi, Nancy.
Lou Piniella. I lived at 11th and Lake Avenue.
Okay.
And your mother-in-law Lucy, she lived in
Wonderful
that
lady.
little black and white house.
Yes.
Well, when little Lou was a toddler, and he used to get out there on 11th Street and play stickball with all those kids on 11th Street.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, we lived in Ybor City for about 3 or 4 years, right off of Lake Street. Baby Joe Valeni, from the Blue Eyed Tomatoes, used to live there also, and yeah, the kids would play all the time. Really?
Blue Eyed house.
How about that?
Wow, that's
My
incredible.
father still lives there.
Oh boy, that's
Isn't that amazing?
yeah, that really is. I'll be darned. I'll be darned. Yeah, we lived over there for about 3 or 4 years, and really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful, wonderful neighborhood. Seminole Heights.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Right there at 11th and Lake.
Nancy, we've got one more caller we need to get to, but sweetie, thank you, and call anytime, would you?
Hi, Buck. I'll see you tomorrow at work.
Okay,
Oh, that's
see
nice.
that. Okay. It's an employee of mine at work.
Oh, well, there it is.
There you go.
The jig is up.
The
Thanks,
jig comes
Nancy,
out.
for calling.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
That's
Sorry,
that's
Buck.
great. That's great.
Sorry, Buck.
Yeah, that's great.
You were
I
out
told
in
her
here
I told him I
on
was
live
on the
TV.
shelves. You know, I had to get something in there.
That's great.
We've got about 6 minutes left. Caller, you're on the air. Tell us your name, a quick story, and where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is Joe Beanie calling.
Oh, Joe, I'm so glad you got in. Thank you,
Thanks
Joe.
for calling.
Yeah, I wanted to call in and see how good the show's going. It's coming in and out on the internet.
I'm so sorry. Joe lives in Largo, is that right, Joe?
Yeah, Seminole.
Seminole, that's right, Seminole. And he's one of our loyal viewers, and he has to watch the show on the internet, and, well, we're just having some issues with the bandwidth. But, Joey, tell us a real quick story about your fond remembrance of playing Little League ball.
Well, I think the most interesting back in the day when in 61, 62 at North Seminole Little League was kind of the powerhouse at the time and won district every year. But the McDougalls ran the park, and Mrs. McDougal would make, for every time you hit a home run, she would make you a pie of your choice.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's small. That's a small town baseball story right there.
Looking forward to that.
Baseball and apple pie.
And it was amazing that in 20 games, I think I hit about 12 home runs and got 12 pies.
Nice.
And that one woman during that season. And I think another thing to get off to was the championship game. I think that Hillsborough, once after 30 years, from 1937 to 1967, when we won the state championship, that just started Tampa baseball, especially high school baseball, to really excel and move forward ever since then.
I agree, Joe. I agree. We have one of our biggest fans, too, Gary Ippolito, was part of the 1971 Robinson High School State Championship. So you're right. Right about that time, around the early 60s, right around the time that our two guests graduated high school and got out of here, things just started to explode. I think it had a lot to do with the baby boomers coming of age, and then there were so many kids. And remember, there was no ESPN, there was no Nintendo. Papa, we lived and breathed, and they'd have to drag us off of the field. And when we weren't playing organized with games, with umpires and fans, and then we'd play in the park all day. Lob ball, 3-man, and I see Lou twirling his world championship ring. I should have asked him to show that a little while ago. But oh yeah, Joe, call us anytime, would you?
Thanks, Joe.
All right, great. And Lou, did you answer those questions? Do you remember that stuff?
Do you remember the stuff that he asked you earlier? The stuff about, when was the poodle, right, Joe?
The poodle for his fiance at the time.
The poodle, you got it from the Abini family.
Raised him.
Yes, I remember that. We bought the poodle and
there was
named him Mickey.
Mickey
Mickey was with, no, not for Mickey Mantle, but Mickey. I don't know why Mickey, but that was the name of the poodle, and he was in our family for a long, long, long time. We really enjoyed him.
Good.
Well, say hello to everyone, and
thank you.
Good show.
And,
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
And talking about high school.
Thanks for calling.
Jesuit High School had great baseball teams.
Oh, they did.
They won the state quite a few years, and Jefferson always had good baseball teams.
Tampa Catholic also.
We've got about 4
Tampa
minutes
Catholic,
to go, gentlemen. And before we get away, did you want to say something about?
No, you mentioned Jefferson as far as playing. We won our city and state as far as we go in '61. Of course, Tony La Russa was playing at that time too, and but we never won the state. And we had good teams. Jefferson always had a good team as long as Jesuit was.
Well, it was Jefferson, it was Jesuit, it was Hillsborough, wherever.
Chamberlain
a little bit later on came on, but wherever the Latinos were at first, and then Plant, the Southsiders came on, Palmacia,
question.
Davis Island. I mean, tremendous history. Yes, if you would please. And what I'm going to ask Lou to do at this time is draw our Lucky Bolita drawing winner. And what Lou's going to do for us, he's agreed graciously to sign this baseball. Today's lucky winner is going to answer Steve's telephone, which is ringing on live TV. All right, Lou, get in there.
All right.
And pick out a lucky ball. And the winner is, here's the number, ladies and gentlemen. The lucky number is that would be Dick Butkus's number, number 51. Remember how this works here. It's the closest to without going over. And that is Walt and Betty Allen. Walt and Betty Allen is the winner of this week's giveaway on the Tampa Native Show, which is a signed baseball by Lou Piniella. And just to show you Walt and Betty out there that we're not playing, he's going to sign it right here on live TV. There's your pen right there.
Thank you.
We've got a picture of Lou Piniella as a wee tot. As soon as he finishes, he's going to tell us a little bit about this picture.
That's right in back of my house on St. Conrad. Open lot in the back. And a picture of my mom
Look at that picture.
and I, that was taken.
Does that bring back memories?
That was taken probably in the late 40s.
Late 40s.
Yeah, late 40s. Yeah.
My understanding, your mother was a great softball player.
Yeah, my mom was a good athlete. She went to St. Joseph High School, the same as I, and then there's a nice picture there of Al Lopez.
Wow.
Tony Cuccinella. Tony Cuccinella was his third base coach.
Yes.
And you see Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa with the flat top on the other side.
Yeah, and myself. And notice that the two young guys had the flat tops, right?
Yeah, of course.
Crew cuts.
Any more pictures? Any more great pictures back there that you want to just flash up there? Well, what's that all about, Lou?
That was at Cascaden Park, and I don't remember. This had to be a coat league or pony league. It wasn't American Legion. But I know that the gentleman that's fanning me there, his name is Fernandez. I don't remember his first name, but he was a wonderful coach. And I must have been pitching.
Yeah, because either that or this is in between rounds, Lou.
And they must have been hitting me.
I was going to say that.
I was tired.
Trying to get you some air. How much time do we have left, Jeff? Oh, we have 1 minute left. Well, throw that picture up there. We'll talk. That's Lou. And that's Julio Giovinco.
Yeah, Julio. I used to work for Julio, believe it or not, at the National Shirt Shop.
Oh, wow.
In downtown Tampa.
Unbelievable.
And sell shirts for him. But he was also associated with Tampa Post 248, and he gave me a trophy for being the most valuable player of that particular year's team.
I've got to say we're just about out of time, but with a smile on my heart, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that this has been arguably our most wonderful show of the season, and it's another shot of Lou. We're going to see if we can't get these two gentlemen.
St. Joseph Elementary over there. St. Joseph's is still there, right on Beach Street.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
With about 10 seconds left, we want to get out of here and say thank you so much for being there to our loyal viewers, and we'll leave you with that image there of a very young, very handsome Lou Piniella. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Salud. And happy days. Thank you so much, Lou.
Thank you for having
me.
Thank you
so much, Bob. Thank you so much.
I can't reach you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys.
Do you see how this goes for us?
Yeah, it's nice.
We could have done easily.